Welcome to the Den, the Dark Entertainment Network. I'm the Gothic Rose, and this is the dark tale of the day. Hello, dear fiends of the Den. I am the Gothic Rose, and as you know, here at the Dark Entertainment Network, this is a channel where the news meets conspiracy theories. It makes babies in my brain, and it comes out my mouth. If you like this type of content, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that bell. Hello, dear fiends of the den. We are back with the haunted history of Hollywood, and today we are talking Hollywood's really messy relationship with the suffragettes. And in honor of many of them being makeup free to show their self-worth without that, and the fact that they did not jump on the Hollywood trends as they were fighting for the ratification of the 19th Amendment, I wear no makeup for this episode today. So let's talk about these amazing ladies. Oh, Hollywood. So by now we know it's basically run by gangsters, and if you're watching or paying attention really to the Diddy trial, the most depraved things I have ever heard, yeah, you will know that they've been able to get away with these things for a very long time. Now, Hollywood's relationship with the suffragette movement was very complex, so let's discuss. The suffragette movement was just a long-standing, long-running movement, and it began in the 19th century with particularly strong activism in Great Britain and the United States. And if you remember, there was that scene in Mary Poppins, the original Mary Poppins, and the mom was going to the suffragette meetings. She sang that song. So in the US, the movement gained momentum with the Seneca Falls Convention in 1848, where activists like Elizabeth Cady Stanton and Lucretia Mott advocated for women's rights. And as the suffragette movement was happening all over the world, women gained the right to vote at different times depending on the country. So the first nation to grant women suffrage was New Zealand in 1893. In the United States, the 19th Amendment was ratified on August 18th, 1920, although not every woman had the right to vote. That was based on color. Due to Jim Crow laws, women of color did not gain voting rights until the Voting Rights Act of 1965 in the United States of America. I think these suffragette hats and bags need to make a comeback. And we should always honor these women because suffragettes were subject to very harsh treatment for their activism. They endured violence, imprisonment, and public ridicule. And in Britain, women who protested the right to vote were arrested and subjected to force feeding when they went on hunger strikes in prison. And this is just a brutal practice involving restraining women and inserting tubes down their throats to force feed food into their stomachs. That's pretty medieval, brutal. And that must be why Hollywood put the suffragette movement into the Mary Poppins movie. They needed to address that in some sort of a way. But during the time of the suffragettes, many films often depicted these women as hysterical, as crazy, as just this entire group of women who don't deserve the right to vote. Now, in the United States, suffragettes endured similar mistreatment. One of the most infamous events was the Night of Terror in 1917, when 33 women were arrested for peacefully picketing outside of the White House. They were beaten, chained, and tortured by prison guards in the Occoquan workhouse. And some suffragettes, like Alice Paul, were placed in solitary confinement and again force-fed when they refused to eat, as Alice Paul was. Despite these hardships, suffragettes remained resilient, using their suffering to draw public sympathy and push forward their cause. And their sacrifices played a crucial role in securing voting rights for women, So, what the suffragettes did, because Hollywood was portraying them sometimes in not the greatest way, is the suffragettes used film to create their own works of art for the cause. And here are the women protesting against Woodrow Wilson the night that they were arrested and imprisoned. So, with that, we're going to talk about their style, their legacy, and how many Hollywood movies depicted things that were pro suffragette and against suffragettes. The haunted history of Hollywood and politics. Like I said, they're good friends. They've been good friends since the beginning. They use each other. And we're seeing that more and more in even the way newspapers are treating certain stars among others. And we will get into all of that. Thank you for joining me on this haunted history in the den. The haunted history of Hollywood and politics. And if you have any tips to share, please email me at welcometothedenpodcast.com. If you'd like to be a guest, let me know. You just must be 21 and over. And my dear fiends of the den, if you enjoy this content, please like, subscribe, and hit that bell. And thank you always for joining me here on the Dark Entertainment Network.